What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Joy Division as we continue through the Substance compilation. Thank you again to Mr. Solo. And the next track is Dead Souls, which has a dramatic and metaphysical feel. Now, of course, souls could be used, let's say, more colloquially to refer to a person, just as a more poetic synonym for a person, and thus a dead soul might not be dead in a literal sense either. It could be someone who is fallen into despair or who is not animated in the sense of pursuing something or finding vibrant aspects of the world to engage with. Of course, it could be, let's say, more literal, and it could mean a supernatural or spiritual entity that is not alive in a biological sense. I don't quite know what to make of it, and admittedly, I'm not sure if any of my experience with New Order will provide any lyrical insight here, nor the handful of about a half dozen tunes I've heard from Joy Division themselves, especially knowing that as they are progressing forward in time, they will continue to evolve, which might not just be sonically, but could also be lyrically. In any case, I will try my best to follow along. Here is Joy Division. The track is Dead Souls, and it's included on the Substance compilation. it's a really cool and fascinating tune, especially sonically. One, it sounds a bit closer to the New Order movement sound, not identical, of course, and obviously not with the vocals, but yeah, it sounds a bit more cycling. It's not terribly dark, but it's certainly not bright and melodic and bounding. It has a bit of a dark and cycling feel, and in fact, in that regard, number one, because of the rhythms and conjunction of the guitar and bass work, it kind of reminded me of a late 70s, very early 80s Cure tune, so if Robert Smith had started singing, it wouldn't have surprised me. But with the cycling percussion, as well as the overall mostly dark feel or atmosphere, if Susie Sue had started singing, it wouldn't have surprised me because it kind of feels a bit like an early Susie and the Banshees tune. But yeah, like what I took away from it lyrically, it sounds like these dead souls are calling him, but that he doesn't necessarily want to go in that direction. He wants to, go away from his bad dreams and seemingly more toward reality, or at least more toward rich and more vivacious experience. So I wonder if this could be about, demons or the darker side of someone's nature calling to them, maybe through dreams specifically, but at the very least feeling a bit of pull in different directions or wanting to go somewhere, but feeling maybe anchored or pulled back by something that is darker, maybe dead souls. But then there's reference to, like, not only imperialists, but conquistadors, these figures who engaged in dark, conquering deeds, and maybe the idea of all the dead souls that became that way, were extinguished maybe early because of the hands of these imperialists and conquistadors. I don't know if it's making a point in that direction, but that line, or that pair of lines, definitely caught my ear and makes me wonder about, the dead souls. Is it the conquistadors themselves, or is it their victims? Either way, I enjoy the nature of the vocals because they seem to fit this somewhat tension-filled and at least moderately dark vibe. And as I said, there's a cycling rhythm, not only in the percussion, in the drums, which again feel like they could have been played by Budgie, but also the guitar and the bass, and especially the bass in the last quarter or so of the tune. It really started to flourish, and I don't know if it went into double time or maybe just as the tune kind of stripped down a little bit by the end, it really just came to the fore, relatively speaking. But yeah, the bass definitely stood out in the last moment. So a cool tune, and one that again feels like different from the raw intensity of the first few tunes, and which again doesn't sound identical to the earliest New Order stuff I've heard, but more in that direction. Yes, I agree. So let me know what you think of this one, and I will see you next time. Peace.